Joe, that's a perfectly landed...
Oh, that right hand hurt him.
He's got to get out of this position. He's taking a ton.
Oh, he hits him right. He's out.
Well, there's a ton of new things in career mode this year. Last year's career mode was a good first start. This year, there was a lot of things that we wanted to do differently. A lot of things that we wanted to do last year that we were able to get in this year. This year, we completely redone the move allocation system. Last year, we had the disciplines. We had the boxing, the jiu-jitsu, the wrestling, the Muay Thai. And the problem that we ran into last year is that they were too confined. Every boxer wrestler was the same. Every boxer had the same boxing moves. Every wrestler had the same wrestling moves. So you kind of had a lot of the same guys out there. This year, that's completely gone. All 500 plus moves in the game can be assigned to your calf. We added a ton of new presentation elements such as weigh-ins and post-fight interviews and pre-fight interviews and a lot of cutscenes with UFC personalities and trainers. So that's one aspect. We've upped the presentation. One of the new systems that we added this year is called the game plan system. It takes up a week on your calendar, but what it allows you to do, last year we got into situations where you'd create a dominant striker, and that's my thing. I'm just striking, I'm just looking to knock you out. Then you get face off against a guy like Damian Maia or Dustin Hazlett, and you have no jiu-jitsu skills, you're in trouble. So this year, with the game plan system, going into your fight, you can choose to set up a game plan and be prepared for your submission opponent. So that'll give you a temporary boost for one fight only to your submission skills. CPU versus CPU is something the fans have been asking about. It's something we wanted to get in last year. Got it in this year, and it's working pretty well. Now that we have that, one of the big things that I wanted to do is to make each fight feel like you're part of a broadcast. So when you make it to the UFC, you have the option to just fight your fight, or you can start the broadcast, which will treat it like you're watching a broadcast. It has the opening Gladiator movie. It has the shadow boxing with the guys talking smack on each other. So career mode allows you to create a fighter from scratch, take him from an amateur fighter, work your way into the World Fighting Alliance. After you make a name for yourself in the WFA, then get invited to the UFC and become the most dominant UFC fighter of all time. Typically, most fight careers last between 10 to 15 years, so we thought 12 was pretty comfortable. That's about 8 to 10 hours of gameplay, which is what we were shooting for. It's about 60 to 70 fights. It's a lot of fights, more fights than we had last year. So I think players will be okay, will be comfortable with this 12-year career. That also ties into fighter aging, which is something new this year. Your fighter will actually age this year, and that will have effects on your stats. So as you get later into your career, it becomes harder to keep your stats up because you've been through so many wars.
Looping hook there. Under 3 minutes.
So with the calf voice this year, that allows you to participate in post-fight interviews and pre-fight interviews. And the choices that you make in the post-fight and pre-fight interviews, you're allowed to either respect or disrespect your opponent, play it up to the crowd, or just give a kind of general response. Those choices will have effects on your career as you play through. So you'll build friends and rivals, and as you build friends and rivals, there's pros and cons to both. So if you're a friend with a guy, you'll be able to train at his camp and be able to learn moves easier than if you're just coming in off the street trying to train there. If you build rivals with a guy, then going into your fight, you'll get more cred going into your fight because people are a little bit more hyped to see two rivals duke it out. One of the new systems we added this year is called the Game is Watching You system. This system literally watches what you do in your career. We heard the fans' feedback. We're all over the boards. Yes, we do go to the boards, people. And we seen what people were saying, that when you get into a fight, the commentators really didn't pay attention to what you were doing as a fighter. This year, that's completely changed with the Game is Watching You system, and it also affects the AI behaviors as well. So the commentators, Mike and Joe, will reflect what you've done in your previous fights. How it translates to the AI behavior is if you're going in there and just taking guys down and ground and pounding them out, your next opponent's going to be aware of that and start to defend your takedowns a little bit better than he would have been in the previous game.
Oh, one punch!
It is all over!
So on May 25th, make sure you get out there and get UFC Undisputed 2010 on Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. And if you're feeling really froggy, come and get me. Dizzy, D-I-T-T-Y, Xbox Live. We'll get it on.